Hello, my name is Scott. I am an expert reviewer with RunRepeat.com, and I'm here to review the Hoka One Sky Toa boot. I have thoroughly enjoyed these boots. I'll come out right now and say that these are the best boots that I've ever worn. I've gone away from boots recently, but these might just bring me back because of how well made they are. And a lightweight, easy to hike in, waterproof boot is exactly what this is. First, I'll talk a little bit about the design. We'll start with the upper. The upper is very well built. It's sturdy, it's pretty thick, so your feet actually stay pretty warm, but it's not too thick. It's not adding a lot of extra warmth, and I really like that because if it's not too hot outside, then I can wear a thinner pair of socks with them, and my feet don't get super hot. The other thing is, if it is pretty cold out, I can put a pair of wool socks on and dial in that warmth real well. My feet stay nice and toasty in these guys. So I'm a huge fan of the material choice that they made. It's very sturdy. The E-Vent material, which is their waterproof material, it does a pretty good job. I have fairly sweaty feet. I don't find that my feet sweat too much when I'm wearing these shoes, and it gets warmer out. I mean, they always sweat, but it doesn't feel like a puddle, or my feet don't feel like they're pooling up in the bottom of these things. The other thing, I have never worn a boot that has this deep of a cutaway for the heel, and I love it. It's fantastic because then when you actually put your foot in it, your ankle sits right about here, and it gives you a ton of mobility without being hampered by this higher upper, or for like the mid-range high top. I'm a big fan of it. The tongue is also sewed in to the upper. I like that a lot as well. It's really important if you have a waterproof boot to actually have that done. I'm sure Hoka is well aware of that, but if you don't have it sewn in and water gets above about your midfoot and it starts seeping into the boot, and not very fun. Now I'll talk a little bit about the midsole. It's the typical Hoka midsole, super thick, but it's actually not too thick. I mean, it looks really thick here, but this is just going up around. I don't understand exactly why Hoka does it, but it's supposedly to offer added protection to the boot, a little bit more stability. That's all well and good. It's part of their brand. But your foot really, you're sitting lower down here. This just comes up around the edge. It only has about a 4mm heel toe drop, which is great. I love a more neutral shoe. And yeah, it's fantastic. Your foot feels cushioned enough, but it's still quite responsive. It's definitely not plush, but it's not hard either. After hiking for 15 plus miles in a day, my feet felt fine. I was just great. It's like being in a really comfortable pair of running shoes, basically. I was honestly a little bit surprised. They're not super flexible, but I was surprised at how free my foot felt in it. I didn't feel too much of the ground when I was hiking in these guys. Very little ground feel because, once again, the cushioning is quite ample. But if you're hiking and you're wearing boots, you're not going to be worrying too much about feeling the ground. The outsole, it has a Vibram rubber that's interspersed between the midsole. It's kind of a slightly softer foam material, softer than the rubber at least. It's plenty grippy enough. I like that they didn't overdo the lugs, so it doesn't grab a ton of dirt when you're hiking around. My only hesitation is the durability of this midsole material that actually sticks out and contacts with the ground. I'm hoping that Hoka really did their homework with this. If it lasts, then fantastic, but we'll see how long it lasts. But I mean, otherwise, these things are built like tanks, so not too terribly concerned, only a very minor observation. The waterproofing is very well done. I hiked through a rainstorm in these guys, and I mean, my feet were wet because water was seeping down everywhere, but they weren't wet because it was seeping through the shoe. My feet were probably the driest part of me by the end of that hike. I've hiked in snow and mud and on rocks in these guys, and it holds up. It does just fine in all of this, exactly like a premium boot would. As far as durability, I have very little concerns, honestly. The upper has no signs of wear whatsoever, and the sole, it looks just fine. These have 50 plus miles. I put them on when I walk my dog in the morning if it's cold outside. I've taken a number of hikes in them, hiked on rock, mud, snow. I know that mud and snow probably don't do a lot of wear to the boots, but definitely over some more abrasive terrain as well. And yeah, there's very, very little signs of any sort of wear on these guys. All right, now to fit and comfort. These are the most comfortable boots I've ever worn, hands down. The lacing is well done. It's robust, it's solid. You don't have to worry about any of this bit breaking. When it actually attaches down here, the laces, they don't completely lock in, but they lock in a little bit to hold the positioning. So you can get a pretty good dial in as far as how tight you want each individual strand on the uppers. The lacing also does a really good job of keeping my foot secure in the boot. I didn't feel, like even without tightening it down too much, my foot was really, really solidly in the back of the boot. It wasn't sliding around, my toes weren't hitting the front. And as far as sizing, I wear a size 12 in just about any shoe, and wearing a 12 here, they fit well. I would recommend, since I personally would wear these guys when it's colder out, to go a half size up if you're between sizes, because I noticed when I was wearing my thicker wool socks, they felt just a tad cramped. All right, now who are these boots made for? Who should be buying these boots? Anyone who's looking to do any hiking that's not in the summer, basically. When it's gonna be wet, rainy, cold, snowy, these boots I think would pair very well at any of those activities. Especially if you're doing long distance hiking, through hiking, or fast packing, which is just backpacking, but at a pretty fast pace. You go fast, you go light, you do 30 plus miles a day. I would honestly be wearing these boots for those kind of endeavors, especially in the cold. They just hold up so well. You can walk for days in them. Your feet don't feel fatigued. They are a little bit pricey at $170. You can definitely get boots that are comparable on sale for less than that. But usually I'm a bit cheaper, but I think these are worth the investment. And I'll tell you why with one final anecdote. These look a little wild. Most boots come in a mild and a wild flavor, and I received the wild flavor. But 2 years ago, I had purchased these boots from Timberland, and they are fine boots. I like them a lot. They just look a little bit more professional, so I can wear them to work when it's, when the weather's colder and whatnot. And so I wore these to work one day, and then I came back home. It was still pretty cold out, and I thought I'll put on my Hokas to get a few more miles in them when I was taking a dog for a walk. I took these off, I put on my Hokas, and I immediately noticed how much more comfortable they were. My feet felt more free. Walking was easier, especially it has a slightly convex outer right here, which encourages the shoe or the foot to roll over as you're hiking. I'm a huge fan of that. The freedom with the upper, it provides a little bit of support, but you feel very free and mobile despite having the high top. They're just that good. These are extremely worthwhile shoes. Sure, you can go for a lesser boot, but at least I know that I'm gonna be happiest if I need a boot being in the Hoka One One Sky Toes. Thank you.